welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my June audiobook wrap-up. Just in case you missed it, I posted my June physical reads yesterday. I'll link that up here in the cards if you guys want to click that little eye and check out what I physically read, which wasn't a lot, but for now we're going to talk about the audiobooks I listened to. So I listened to a total of 7 audiobooks this month, which seems to be kind of my average, like 6 to 7, but a couple of these were a little bit bigger, and I finished a whole series, and it was overall like a really awesome audiobook month, so I'm really proud of myself. It kind of also like somewhat had themes to it. So for now, we are actually going to talk about the book I finished last first because it was my least favorite. So I read A Fierce and Subtle Poison by Samantha Mabry. I picked this up actually, I think right before lockdown happened. I was kind of excited because I knew it had something to do with plants, possibly plant magic and poisonous plants, and I'm into gardening and love gardening. This one is narrated by Graham Hamilton, who I don't think I've ever listened to anything from, and he did a really good job. I enjoyed him as a narrator. So this one's kind of strange. It's set in San Juan, Puerto Rico, I believe. It's following a young man who's there with his dad, and he kind of hangs out with all of the like local girls. I think he's from America, and they're like trying to live there or do something, or his dad has a project there. I'm not entirely sure. But there's all these mysterious rumors about this green-faced girl that is kind of like, I think like a pixie or a fairy, and they have all these things about like don't taunt her, and she lives in this one house, and he kind of just brushes them off. He's kind of a player. He kind of like seduces the girls of the town and everything, and then something happens to one of the girls that he likes, and he starts to kind of wonder if maybe these rumors are true. That's kind of all I want to give away because I don't want to, it's kind of a mysterious book. I wound up liking this one more than I expected after I started reading it. Like the first like 2 hours in the audiobook, I was kind of like, I don't know. But I wound up enjoying it more than I expected after that, but not quite enough to keep it. Like I don't feel like I'm going to remember it for very long, and I don't feel like it's one that I would ever read or listen to again. I did like the setting being in San Juan and learning a little bit about the culture there and the girls and things like that, and I liked the little mysterious background. The ending wasn't my favorite. I don't know. It was good. It just wasn't my favorite, and it wasn't quite as planty, gardeny as I was hoping for, so I wound up giving this one 3 stars. Next up, I wound up reading and completing the Eve trilogy by Anna Carey. I'm really excited because I just love when you can like finish a series all at once. So these are narrated by Tavia Gilbert, who I did really enjoy. The reason I was able to finish these is because they're only like 7.5-hour audiobooks, and because I listen at like 1.6, 1.8 speed, I'm able to finish them in about 4.5 hours. So I plowed right through these in a week. So this is a dystopian series set in a futuristic world where it's also post-apocalyptic. Might not be the best time for some of us to read this book right now. It is about a virus and a plague that wipes out a lot of humanity and the afterfall of that and what happens with society and all that stuff. It was a little freaky reading. It was like she kind of like predicted the future a little bit. Obviously, this is like way worse than what's happening now because like, I don't know, 80% of humanity's gone. But it was really freaky. Just there were a lot of like similarities to things that were happening now that were referenced in the book, and this is a really old book, and it just kind of freaked me out. So if you're bothered by that kind of stuff, definitely don't read this. For some reason, even though I'm stressed about everything happening, these didn't bother me. Like I'm weird like that. Dystopian dark books don't bother me like other things do. So this one has a lot to do with surrogacy, and the girls are girls being kept in a certain place to breed, to like populate the planet and things like that. It's not as much about that as I expected. That's one reason I was a little bit hesitant to read these. And again, kind of torn if I want to keep this series or not. I did really enjoy it. I flew through them. I really liked, I think Rise is the second book that had like a plot twist in it that I was not expecting. I expected this to kind of follow the same dystopian plot lines as always. I really like dystopian, so kind of keep that in mind. But it had a nice little twist in here that was just really unexpected, and the romance again was not the main plot. There was a lot of other things happening. The ending wasn't my favorite of all 3, and I don't know if it's like my favorite trilogy ever, but I did enjoy it like a lot more than I expected. So I think I gave the first book 4 stars just for purely enjoyment level, and the other one's 3.5. So if you like dystopians and you can handle something about a virus right now, I do recommend this. If you don't like dystopians, this is not necessarily like one that I'd tell you to read anyway. Next up, reread Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff via audiobook. I read this one last year in August. It was the only book I read that month, and I was having a month kind of like I was having in June, where the physical reading just wasn't happening and I just literally barely even took in any of this information. But I love their other series, and I knew that I would probably like this one if I was like actually paying attention. So I did enjoy this one quite a bit on audiobook. It has a full cast narration. A lot of our faves from the Illuminae files were narrators in here, which was really great. I wouldn't recommend listening to them like back to back because that would confuse you a little bit. But this is a sci-fi futuristic world. Basically, we are following a bunch of different characters in here. We've got like a ragtag team, but one of the main characters, Tyler, is a graduating cadet, and he's all set to kind of hit the next stage of his life, and he has to do something kind of heroic that sets him off on like a hero's journey with a bunch of other people, and girl from the past with a futuristic eye. I don't know how else to explain it. Super, super adventurous, really, 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 really fun. Their writing and their character dialogue with each other is just hilarious and really entertaining. So really like this one, wound up giving it 4 stars again upon rereading, and I can't wait to listen to Aurora Burning probably this month. Then I listened to These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. So Amy Kaufman's one of the authors from Aurora Rising and Illuminae and all that. And then Megan Spooner is the author of Hunted and Sherwood, that were 2 of my favorite books from last year. She's one of my new favorite authors, so I decided to finally give this book a chance. And the narrators for this one are Cynthia Holloway, Johnathan McClain, and Sarge Anton. I know that I'm pretty sure I've listened to things from at least Cynthia Holloway before. They did a really, really great job. This is also futuristic sci-fi set on different planets. We have 2 characters that have kind of a Romeo and Juliet thing. She's not supposed to like him. He's not supposed to like her. The luxury space liner that they are on together winds up getting yanked out of hyperspace and crashing on the nearest planet, and they wind up finding out that they are alone and they're trying to survive. She's like a fancy kind of spoiled rich girl, and he is kind of like a army brat basically, but in the future. And so they don't necessarily like each other or get along. Really great. I can sense Amy Kaufman's writing style in here and Megan Spooner's together. Like, oh, I can't wait to listen and read everything that they read. Really, really enjoyed this. I love sci-fi books, but for some reason I don't read a lot of them, so I really made sure to do that this month, and I'm so, so glad. It's one of my favorite book covers too. I wasn't able to carry on with the series just yet, but I hope to in July or in August. I have a lot of things I'm backed up on. Wound up giving this one 4 stars. If you love a sci-fi and a snarky romance, you'll enjoy this one quite a bit. And the last book that I listened to on audio was Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. I wound up finding this one again, probably like in January. Really excited because I rarely ever find new books, and this came out mid last year, something like that. So this is a sci-fi retelling of The Sword in the Stone / King Arthur. That was enough for me, but I was like, man, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. I wonder if it's any good. And I was in a sci-fi mood anyway, and Lauren Fortgang is the narrator, who is like one of my all-time favorite narrators now. Again, she's kind of the theme for this year. I listened to like 2 more of her audiobooks in July, so stay tuned for that. She narrates like Darkest Part of the Forest and Hearts and Other Body Parts, like 2 of my favorite books. She's incredible. Her voice kind of sounds like Belle from the Disney movie. Like, she has a perfect Disney princess voice, but not in like a snotty way or like a ditzy way. It's just perfect. So this is a wild ride. So we have a tyrannical company called Mercer that kind of controls everything and is like the bad guys of the story. Runaway character named Ari, and she is spunky and spicy. And then we have our wizard Merlin, and basically there have been multiple King Arthurs over and over and over throughout the years. Merlin, basically every time there's a new King Arthur born or reincarnated or whatever, he wakes up and has to try and help that King Arthur conquer and do like his job for whatever's happening. And he always fails and dies, and then Merlin goes into like a dormant state and wakes up again, but he wakes up younger than he did before. So this time he wakes up and he finds Ari, who's a girl, so he's never trained or worked with a girl before, so he's hoping that this time is different and also he can stop the cycle, and there's like curses and magic and sci-fi and romance, and there is a really nice female-female romance in here. There is a nice male-male romance. There's a nice female-male romance. There's just lots of romance all the way around. There are lots of snarky characters. There's a ragtag team of characters, and they are just all so good together. There's just so much magical things, but also sci-fi. It's just like the perfect sci-fi fantasy. I really enjoyed it and thought it was like super incredibly fun. So I have the next book on hold. Can't wait to read it. This one wound up getting 4 stars for me. So that is it. Those are all of the audiobooks I listened to for the month of June. Really pleased with everything I listened to, and so far July is going excellent as well, thanks to Mermaid Marathon. So hope you guys are having a great day. Let me know if you've listened to any great audiobooks recently, and if you're going to check any of these out, and I'll see you guys next time on the bright side. Bye!